everyone, my name is Amanda and welcome back to my channel, Make a Destination. Thank you for clicking on this video. If this is your first time here, this is where I give you some travel tips to make it to your destination. So let's make it happen. Alright everyone, I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Let's smash that like button and click the subscribe button. Alright y'all, so we're going to get into it. This week we're going to be speaking about essential travel safety tips. So there are 3 essential tips that I'm going to give to you, and the first one is know your travel hubs. So what I mean by travel hubs is anywhere where somebody is going from point A to point B. So this could be a subway station, a train station, an airport. I feel as though because people are going in and out, there's a lot of commotion, and this is where you're either going to be leaving a country or leaving a state and going into another, or entering a country for the first time. So you really have to know your travel hubs. So I know this might seem a little obvious, but do not speak to anybody that you don't know in airports. I notice a lot of times at airports, especially when you're entering another country, they try to sell you on timeshares. This happened to my mom and I when we went to Mexico, and they really use very effective salesman tactics, right? Like, oh, hi, how you doing? Like, welcome. Like, is this your first time here? Where are you from? We have beautiful timeshares here. You could pay X amount a month. We actually went. It's a long story, but anyways, we didn't get a timeshare. But there's a lot of people who are out to get something from you, right? A lot of states or places depend on tourist money, and people look to you for that, but do not feel pressured to speak to anybody. Don't say anything about your personal life or anything like that, because people will take little snippets and start to put the little snippets together for a picture. So don't speak to anybody you don't know in airports, and you should also know that countries' customs or expectations in airports. You need to know kind of the environment that you're walking into, and I know research can only do so much until you get there, but just make sure you know where the exits are. You kind of are looking around, making sure no one's following you. I know that kind of sounds like paranoia, but you just have to make sure that even though this is a trip you might be doing for fun or for business, to enjoy yourself, whatever the case may be, just make sure you're always kind of having like a sixth sense about what's going on around you. Alright, so that's travel safety tip number 1. Travel safety tip number 2 is recognize tourist traps. So every place that people want to go to usually has some sort of tourist trap, right? Like whether you're seeing the Empire State Building or you're seeing the Taj Mahal, there's always like a shopping center or market or gift shop, something like that. So just recognize it. I'm not saying you're going to be able to avoid it, because it's very hard to avoid tourist traps when you are trying to, see something that a country is known for, a place is known for. But I notice when countries depend on tourist money, the people seem to be more pushy. And there's nothing against that. I just personally do not like pushy salesmen. So just be careful when you go to shopping centers, when you're looking for stuff or little trinkets to bring home. Make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. Most other countries, you can haggle. Sam is extremely good at haggling. I'm not. If somebody says it's $25, to me it's $25. But some countries, it's actually acceptable to haggle. So make sure you know that. But don't feel as though you have to buy something because somebody's being pushy. Like, for example, when Sam and I went to Jamaica, we kind of got pushed into a tourist trap. We went to Dunn's Rivers Falls, which was awesome, but there was a gift shop you had to go through to exit, and the people who worked there, even though they were nice, they were extremely pushy. Like, they would put like a bracelet on you, and they're like, oh, it looks so nice, let me start engraving your name on it, but the bracelet's gonna be $40, and it's like, I didn't even want this bracelet, you just like put it on my arm and you want me to buy it. So don't feel as though you have to buy something. Stay strong in your stance, and it does kind of feel a little overwhelming at first, so just kind of understand that, people are depending on this money and they're looking to you for that, but that doesn't mean you have to buy from them. And just be careful about what people are selling, just because, again, back to the Jamaica trip, Jamaica is known for sometimes a certain green plant, And there were people around the resort who were selling that, or even in the airport transfer that we were on that were trying to sell it. And what people don't recognize is that it's illegal in Jamaica. You could go to jail for selling, consuming, or buying the certain green plant that I'm not going to name. And yeah, there's serious charges. You do not want to be a citizen from another country going to another country's jail because you don't know what it's like. So just make sure you know the laws and customs again and expectations. All right, so that was number 2. And lastly, number 3, I'm going to say this is the most important point, and this took me years to learn, and also I'm still learning it as I get into more travel, is setting your boundaries. So the reason why I say this is because, you know, when you travel, I feel like you're almost in a different like mindset or a different energy, right? You're usually happier, you're excited, you know, you're ready to take on the day, it's something different. But that doesn't mean you should let your guard down all the time. So when Sam and I went to Florida, which we had a lot of fun, it was our first trip together, we went to Miami. Sometimes there are Uber drivers or Lyft drivers that kind of get too close. There was one in particular who at first seemed very nice. He took us to the grocery store. He even said he'd wait outside for us, which was awesome. So we went, grabbed our groceries, went outside. Then he started saying some things, and he was like, hey, like, I know you're not from here, but if you want to go to, like, Key West, I could take you there. We could, you know, he's like, I'll take my wife, and it'll be, you know, you and your boyfriend, and we'll go, and you'll just pay me off of the Uber app, or, like, not on the Uber app, but off of it, like, with cash, and we'll just stay there all day, and then I'll drive you back. And I'm sorry, anything off of, like, an app or, like, that's in cash, for me, like, I don't know if you're gonna bring me there. It's not a contract. It's not like he's working for a company. Like, he was just gonna just do this as, like, a side gig. So we both said no immediately. So you have to make sure in the situation that you're thinking about it before you jump the gun and say yes from your excitement. He also tried to, which again, this might be maybe just being too paranoid, but he was like, oh, I'll help you bring groceries inside your Airbnb, and we both said no. I personally think people should not know where you're staying. I mean, I know he's our Uber driver and he was dropping us off, but there's a difference between like knowing kind of the area we're staying at compared to like which specific apartment we were actually in. So set that boundary. Say no. Don't be afraid to say no. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't really think about when they travel, but it is okay to say no. It's okay not to let somebody in, all right? Also, I know, you know, I always kind of announce where I'm going to go, especially with this channel, but don't say you're going to go on vacation and win before you go, because even though the trip may turn out fine, some people will know that your home is empty and that nobody's there, and then they'll be like, oh, well, you know, Bob and Sally aren't home for 2 weeks because, you know, they're in, you know, Beijing, China or whatever. So let's go to their house and take a few things. So make sure, like, you always post pictures after, you explain the trip after. Don't really say, oh, you know, my husband or my wife or, you know, my mom and I are going to Jamaica for 2 weeks. Goodbye, all right? And then lastly, have someone at home kind of know where you are and update them, right? Just so that they know. For me, that person is my mom. I'll call her and be like, hey, like, today we're going to Key West. We're going to be there for like 6-7 hours, and then we should be back at the Miami Airbnb by like 9 or 10, right? And then I'll try to update her. I'm not saying I'm on my phone the whole time because I feel like that detracts from the trip, but just try to update somebody. That doesn't have to be your mom. It could be your grandma, your grandpa, your dad, your boyfriend, wife, whoever. It should be somebody that you trust. And as long as they kind of have like daily updates, I think that should be good, just so that there are no red flags of what happened to this person. Again, I don't think it's good to be on your phone the entire trip, but just being like, hey, like today we're going to Dunn's Rivers Falls. I'll, you know, text you and say everything is good. Again, data plans kind of like vary from country to country, so that's a whole other video. But just make sure you're updating someone. So I really hope this video helped. If it did, you know, leave a travel safety tip in the comments. I'd love to hear what you've learned throughout your years of traveling. I'm still learning. These are my top 3. So let's go over that again. 1, know your travel hubs. 2, recognize tourist traps. And 3, set your boundaries. And that last one is extremely, extremely important. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I appreciate the support. Have a good one, y'all.